Welcome to the Jacob Wayne Show. With you is Jacob Wayne and his sexy co-host Kellen Gibbons. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. This week's been awfully productive with a lot of little things.
Yeah.
Some of that I can get into, but before we do that, what you sipping on? 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah,
I actually had mine open this time. Thank God one of us.
I actually didn't. I remembered.
Fuck yeah.
So this is a new one.
Yeah,
This is a brand new beer for me. It's called A True Science of the Mind, Hallucinosis.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a double...
I don't know what any of that means.
Me neither, but it's a double dry hopped double pale ale with lactose from Illuminated Brewworks. So, pretty good. I like it. It's kind of a little sweet with the lactose, but a nice heavy double IPA. I dig it.
How strong is that one?
8%, which with the lactose doesn't taste like it at all. But it's nice. Yeah. I don't really like the lactose thing that much. It's okay. That's like how you make like the milkshake beers and stuff, and
like milk stouts and whatnot.
Yeah, I like some of them better than others, but some of them are a little too sweet. You know, I don't kind of like really has to have some real bitter hop to cut through the sweetness from the lactose. But this one's pretty good. I like it.
I could be wrong, but I think that German chocolate cake, it might be a milk stout from Weldworks.
Yeah.
And that just tastes like a chocolate cake. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that most likely is a milk stout if it's that sweet. So
next time you come out here, we should maybe go to Weldworks Brewery. See what they got going on there.
That's a cool brewery. I believe me and Shockey rode bikes there years back.
I think it's in Greeley.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of a different one.
You might be thinking Purpose, because that's one of his favorites. Or
it was like
Tap and Handle's the other one we would go to, but that's not a specific brewery. That's like just a great bar.
It was like a brewery. It was like in a big kind of warehouse looking, like you were like right next to the big old things holding the beer. You know, the big giant steel kegs, and had a big bike rack out front.
I can picture the building. I just can't think of what it is at the moment. If it comes to me, I'll let you know.
Or yeah, I thought that one was Weldworks for some reason, but I'm totally wrong. I'm not surprised.
And I mean, I could be wrong. As far as I understood, though, they were out in Greeley. So, but maybe they got something here. I don't know. But I'm sipping on Left Hand Brewing Company's Found Fortune.
Ooh.
You had one of those?
No, not that one. What's that?
It's dry hopped double IPA, 8.7%.
Ooh.
And tell me if I got this right. I was enjoying my last bottle of Jameson so much that I was like, maybe I'll do one more of those before I get back on like the vodka thing, like lower calorie. But I got the Irish Whiskey Caskmates Stout Edition. Was that the one you talked about?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah. It's pretty tasty.
Yeah. So if you're just sipping that on ice, that's low cal. Nothing wrong with that.
Apparently with everything I'm reading, it's just like just do vodka. Like, what about gin? Just do vodka.
Oh, that's a bunch of hooey. Especially gin. Gin is definitely no more calories than vodka.
Well,
Well,
we'll follow it and see how I feel.
okay.
But with that, let's get into our promos.
Yay.
What do you got going on?
Well, I think all the bands I've been mentioning over the last few weeks, they both dropped the single on the same day, which was cool and unplanned on my part. I just woke up one day and was like, hey, both of them dropped. So the Highline Drifters dropped a new tune called Baggage, which you can hear on actually made some Spotify playlists with that one.
Nice.
Our last release, nobody really didn't fit any of the vibes. There's not really any bluegrass playlists on some BitHub, but we found a nice reggae one, so it's getting a little spread around. So it's a little more like a reggae vibe, but with bluegrass instruments. It's a fun little tune.
Grass.
Yeah, grass. And then Beatnik dropped the tune Ravaged, which is a fun little number. And that one is also on a bunch of playlists. That one's on like 5 or 6, I think. So available wherever you get your music.
Do you remember the name of any of those playlists?
I don't remember. Didn't know some of them. I think the one was Reggae World or something. World Reggae, something like that.
All right. Yeah, well, apparently that's the way people are doing it these days. Like, you don't just have your album up, but you throw them onto different various playlists, and that's how people kind of find their stuff. I mean, I follow a couple playlists just to discover things sometimes, like on the weekends.
Yeah.
But on my end, Gamma spent the whole week kind of recording bass and vocals, so that's most of what I do. There's going to be Shocky singing on this next one.
Ooh.
So we're kind of, getting that going because it's his first time really doing that. And yeah, so unless there's something we need to come back and retake or something like that, all the bass and the vocals are done for the third Gamma EP. So
one taking it.
Yep, one taking it on the fourth take, Jake.
Yep.
And prints are going good. I announced on my social media pet portraits are going up to $300 with free shipping in the continental United States in 2022. So this whole year is the last time you can get a pet portrait for $200 plus shipping. So write us at fakoshka@gmail.com or visit my website, artjwb.com.
You don't have much time. Remember, this is 2021, so that's just like a couple of weeks away. The year's going to be over.
Indeed. And we know time is a vicious whore. So, it's like one whole year in 3 weeks' time, but then a whole year feels like 1 month.
It don't make no sense.
None at all. Any of our friends got anything coming out? Any singles, little things like that?
I don't know, but if they do, they could write us at fakoshka@gmail.com and we'll shout them out.
Yeah, let us know, and you could even send us the track and we'll lay it under here rather than the beat you've been hearing. You could hear a new single from a band you like.
Ooh.
Or a new band. So, yeah, write us if you got something to promote and you're a buddy of ours.
Yeah.
But with that, let's move into our kind of entertainment news section. Any new music coming out or music things that you can think of?
I haven't not anything like new in the music world. I did dig into an old CD that I think is really underappreciated. So
okay.
I just want to take
a
quick moment. So I don't know if the world knows, but I'm a big Steely Dan fan. And the lead singer of that band did a couple of solo records. One of them's got a song that got pretty popular. Like, you might recognize it. Could be even up there with some of the Steely Dan hits. But he did this one album called Morph the Cat, and it's just kind of this weird, forgotten solo album he did. Doesn't get much attention, but goddamn, it's funky.
How's it different from Steely Dan?
It's really in many ways, it's not that much different. The main difference is like Walter Becker, who's the other, of the pair of Steely Dan. The
Mm-hmm.
other dude, he plays guitar, and he has a very distinctive style. And I think he plays bass on Morph the Cat. But I think he gets like other guitar players. But even then, he gets Walter on some of them. So there's, in many ways, it's not too much different, which is probably
Okay.
why I like it so much. He does. I think he takes the time to do some kind of weirder tunes, like
Mm-hmm.
this one's got a tune about like falling in love with the TSA agent searching you.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and just some some funny little tunes like that. It's a good
Yeah.
album. I recommend it. Morph the Cat.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Steely Dan always has that really particular way of like recording and mixing their music. I think that I don't know if you agree with me with that, but it just seems to contribute a lot to their sound.
Oh yeah, they were insanely perfectionist about it, and they didn't use like any. They don't use like any compression or anything. It's all just you know what was coming out. Um,
Wasn't there some little story about like them taking a while to get a snare sound, or maybe that was
Oh, dude, they took months to get just one drum track. Like, so long, just having tons of different people do it. They actually built the first drum machine. So they took,
hmm.
like, this guy's kick and snare, this guy's cymbals, and this guy's, like, fills, and mixed them together and, like, on the tape. And apparently the tape was just, like, you had to splice it together. So it was, like, one long piece of tape. They were, like, running, like, through the studio out into other rooms. They had to feed it in this giant card, like this crazy thing. I don't know. It's been too long since I
Hmm.
read their book about how it all worked, but there's so many interesting stories about how they got all the tones and yeah, they're quite the group, and they are definitely a good one to use if you're like setting up a new speaker system, dialing in the bass and treble. That's a
Yeah.
Steely Dan's a good one to throw on and kind of dial it in. Then you got a good like bass line.
Hmm. I remember the other artists that had that snare story. Like the two artists that I remember hearing about that are really meticulous with their tone was Bruce Springsteen. Apparently, was real particular about a snare sound on some of his earlier stuff.
Ah,
And oh man,
Lars.
no, he's obviously really particular.
Uh,
But
it sounds too good. Make it sound more like a butt.
Tom Petty, yeah, he was apparently a bit of a bull in the studio, but yeah,
Yeah.
led to some good stuff. But on Steely Dan, I remember we did our little playing Civ 6. Listen to Everything Must Go, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's something we could maybe do in the future to expand this whole Jacob Wayne show thing. Maybe one day we can kind of get into streaming and we'll. I don't know how that all works. I don't know if you like have to like play the album that we're listening to that we can't play over the thing,
Yeah.
but kind of stream us doing Civ or something. Maybe that could be fun.
Have a listen along. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But that being said, what's your favorite Steely Dan record?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Definitely Everything Must Go of their newer stuff. They did like two albums really recently,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other stuff's got quite a gap back to the old stuff.
Yeah.
The old stuff, I think it's probably Katie Lied or Asia.
Okay.
So,
What's the one that most people have heard? Is that Can't Buy a Thrill?
yeah, like the very first one is the one that like when they were on the radio a lot and stuff. They
Was it like
their other
Baby
hits.
Don't Lose the Number? That's them, right?
Ricky, don't lose that number.
Ricky.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm still learning my Steely Dan, you know.
Yeah, that one's got that one. It's got Do It Again. It's got the Oh Michael, Oh Jesus. That I remember hearing that song on the radio a lot. So
Okay.
yeah, all their hits, their big hits were on that one. All the other albums have like one song that got pretty popular.
Nice. Back in the day, single was the thing.
Oh yeah.
But cool. I recently was really enjoying a bunch of new releases. Let me find those real quick. One of them was the new Rob Zombie album.
Ooh,
His, I gotta look this up because his album names are always ridiculous.
I hadn't
But
heard about that.
it was the most he's tried in a really long time. He can kind of coast on that Rob Zombie sound and
Yeah.
just kind of churn albums out. And yeah, that's Rob Zombie. If you saw it live, it's probably pretty cool.
Yep.
But this new one, the Lunar Injection Kool-Aid Eclipse Conspiracy,
Ooh.
is yeah, that's just a total Rob Zombie album name. But yeah, there's like a lot of different elements to it, and I was pleasantly surprised. It kind of brings back some of his samples and techno elements from his earlier stuff from the 90s, and just has some good metal riffing. And then there's one country song on it, or at least partially country, and
Mm.
lots of like little funk smooth breakdowns. And yeah, it's just got a lot going on in it. Lyrics are silly, but yeah, it's Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
So that's, you don't listen to Rob Zombie for something deep.
Yeah, it's been a while since I rocked some zombie. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah. Some other quick ones I'll mention before getting into this new discovery of mine. There's a new album from Tomahawk. It's one of Mike Patton's many bands
Oh yeah.
called Tonic Immobility. I had that vinyl show up Friday and basically been rocking that. And I mean, I love everything Mike Patton, so I would say it's definitely a really good version of his stuff.
Nice.
Um, there's a new Devin Townsend song, "Come Fly with Me." I'm not sure what that's attached to.
Is that like the jazz tune? Did he cover the jazz tune? Hmm.
I don't know. I gave it a little bit of a listen. It's kind of like, I almost had like kind of a poppy '60s vibe to it, but maybe I need to listen to it again.
It might be the like tune that Sinatra sang.
Huh, that'd be interesting.
Just say the word and I'll beat your bird down to Acapulco Bay. That dirty
Hmm.
song.
Yeah, we'll readdress that in the next episode, make sure. But yeah, there was a new release that was a collaboration between Paul McCartney and Beck, and I
Nice.
found it to be pretty enjoyable. It was called "Find My Way,"
Oh, cool.
and I would check that out. But my favorite discovery this week was a song by a band called Black Midi,
Oh yeah.
MIDI, which I guess is like some kind of genre in Japan, but they just named their band after it. And the
That
song name is John L.
yeah.
And it's just a weird little track.
That's the thing. I know what Black Midi is, and I was kind of expecting it to be that, but it wasn't that. It's just yeah, it's just like a pretty strange band. kind
Yeah,
of definitely what I would call avant-garde, particularly in the video.
yeah,
But what a cool video.
yeah. Like, I would describe their sound as kind of like if King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard made love to Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum and had
Ooh,
twins, and then those twins fused, they
damn.
would be Black Midi.
There you go.
But they're an English rock band from London. They're formed in 2017. The band consists of Geordie Greep, vocals and guitar,
Hmm.
Matt Kwasniewski, Kelvin, vocals and guitar, Cameron Picton, vocals, bass guitar, synths, and Morgan Simpson, drums.
There you go.
And their name is derived from the Japanese music genre, Black Midi. Their sound has been described as experimental rock, math rock, noise rock, and post punk. So I'm
I wouldn't
still,
call it any of that. Interesting.
I would,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're a band I'm gonna have to listen to more of their stuff. But I think the vocals was kind of like the weirdest thing to me that really stuck out and I enjoyed because it's like kind of rocking along and you're like, okay, cool. I've heard bands kind of do this sort of thing before, and it's a great sound, but you're just kind of rocking around, and then he's just like, "Hello to the Harvey." You're just like,
It's got
"What the hell?"
a drunk guy rambling.
Yeah. And I kind of did a little bit of research, so I could be totally wrong, but I guess that song is about like a cult leader trying to get everybody to kind of follow something, and then it's the people following the cult turning on him.
Huh.
And yeah, so that was just something I read. Could be wrong, but if you watch the video, it's this whole choreographed dance thing, and it's really great.
Yeah.
Um,
And that does seem to be kind of what happened, I guess. Looking back on that weird dance, that seems like that could have been what was going on.
yeah, there's that whole pyramid with the eye in it, and the dude. It's kind of like,
Then it's all bloody at the end. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. But one element of that also kind of stuck out to me was just that they probably threw that all together during this COVID business, and I know that things are kind of lightening up and people can kind of get together more than they were at the beginning, but they had, I don't know how many dancers they had, but during certain parts you'd see that they had the same actress in different spots of the screen doing different dances, but then
Yeah.
they kind of multiplied it out so it looks like 50 people or something like that. And there's just like there's the hand, there's the body movement, there's the whole body attached to the pyramid with the eye. And so you just think about all this elaborate stuff that they were able to just throw together, and they probably filmed separately, I would assume.
Yeah, like on
But
a green screen at their house.
yeah, like I don't know, I'd be really interested to see how they made that video, but I was very impressed by like sometimes with the restrictions and the boundaries, how you have to be creative within that, like really kind of pushes technologies and different things forward.
Yeah, it's true. There's been some
So,
pretty cool stuff from
yeah.
the online collaboration.
hmm There was another video during, I was like right kind of in the middle of the COVID uh, shutdown, whatever you want to call it. And it was Idols, which is another UK band. They're kind of punk rock band sort of thing. And they just had videos of people dancing in front of their phone and they just sent it into them and they put it all together. So it's just a music video of all their fans dancing around, acting a fool.
Nice.
And I'm like, God damn it, that's such a, like, that would have been a great video idea before all this. And it's just so, it's ingenious. It's so straightforward. It's like, God damn. That was definitely like, I wish I thought of that. But it's a cool video. You should check it out. I think it's called "You Can Do It," or at least that's the chorus. But yeah, Idols. That's IDLES.
Yep. Cool group.
Mm-hmm. So with that, any other music things to go over?
No, I don't have anything else. So
All right. I'm taking a look at any movies I watched recently, seeing if any of them are worth mentioning. Um, I guess I'll mention slightly. I watched the movie Ed TV.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. I'd never even heard of that one. So now I'm interested.
Yeah, you shouldn't get too interested because it's not a great movie. But it is part of this phenomenon in Hollywood called twin films.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you probably know what I'm talking about, but as an example, there's Armageddon and Deep Impact. There's Volcano and Dante's Peak.
Oh.
There's a bunch of other ones, and they'll come to me. But one of them was The Truman Show and EdTV. Now, I had mentioned watching The Truman Show, I think a few episodes back,
Yeah.
and that's a great movie. One of Jim Carrey's few serious roles, and it's just a classic, and it ages really well. Like the more you get into this era of reality TV and streaming and Instagram influencers, like it just kind of makes you think about it even more. And that's essentially the plot of EdTV. There's a network that is like has the lowest ratings out of anybody, so they decide as a gimmick, we're gonna just pick some person that auditions, and then we're gonna follow them around with cameras all day and just film their life. So they pick Matthew McConaughey, and they just start following Matthew McConaughey walking around acting like Matthew McConaughey.
Uh-huh.
And of course, the show starts to spill over into his life in ways he wouldn't like. Like camera guys start following his girlfriend, his brother, and then they start to fuck up his life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I would say. The best thing to take away from it is it really was like it came out in 1999. It was directed by Ron Howard, and it's a really melttoast movie. But looking at it at the time, they're like, "Oh, reality TV! Like we better be careful." And then it's like,
Oh, yeah.
of course we will. And then, of course, we're now here in 2021, and yeah, they didn't even comprehend that stuff was going to move beyond television into internet and then your phone and
Yeah.
just people that constantly broadcast their existence all day, every day. And
But
it's a little bit of part of that gig economy thing we talked about. It's like part of what some people are trying to do is just make their whole life basically their job.
yeah, it's pretty
It's like,
interesting. And it's working for a lot of people.
yeah. And I mean, I'm definitely doing a podcast and doing artwork and talking about how you made it and why on social media. It's like we're all kind of doing it to a certain degree. And
Yeah.
there is this certain amount of the person who doesn't do it at all. You kind of like furrow your brow, like, really?
Yeah.
It's like, don't use it at all? It's odd.
I'd be doing more if I thought people would watch. Might be camming.
Yeah. But so it is an interesting contrast to The Truman Show. And I'll even go ahead and read the definition for the twin films thing. Because you can write in and suggest that we watch a combo like this. But twin films are films with the same or very similar plot, produced and released at the same time by two different film studios. The phenomenon can result from two or more production companies investing in similar scripts around the same time, resulting in a race to distribute the films to audiences. So there's all kinds of them going back to 1934. So there's a bunch to choose from. You just look it up on Wikipedia. There's a list. If there's one you know off the top of your head, yeah, just let us know and we'll check it out and let you know which one we like more than the other.
Indeed.
But with that, I watched a bunch of movies, all ones I like, but nothing I love. I think the one I actually really like a lot is a movie called Love and Basketball. It's kind of like a low-key romantic comedy. That was like year 2000, and I played basketball up until middle school and realized I wasn't good enough to keep going. But I love basketball and I like a good romantic comedy. So if you haven't seen that, if you like both those things, it's right in the title.
There you go. It's everything you want.
Absolutely. Another thing, you and I have been going through Chappelle's show.
Oh yeah.
Is that your first time going through it? I forget.
Second time.
Second time.
I I had to just go straight through it right when it first came out. But
Sure.
yep.
No, but any as far as up to where we're at, which is almost the end of the first season, do you got any favorite bits?
Um, man, just all of them. The
Yeah, I mean
Tyrone, I love that one. The blind, the black white
Clayton
supremacist.
Bigsby.
Yeah, Clayton. That's his name. Yeah. That. Yeah, it's also good. It's a,
Mm-hmm.
it's just fantastic.
Hell yeah. There is I like the player haters ball
Yeah, that was good.
that features some comedians in it that I really love. Patrice O'Neill. Rich Voss is just kind of standing there, like looking around, which is totally Rich Voss. Like just for one section, the great Charlie Murphy, Donnell Rawlings, and I think
Yep.
the Asian man that would be in a lot of Chappelle shows, his first name is Yoshi, I believe, but I could be wrong. But it's low key one of the best ones. I don't think it gets enough love.
Yeah, that was way funny.
I know that one meme that's become popular is Chappelle's character in that skit, and it's just like, I hate you, and I hope all the bad things in life happen to you,
Yeah.
and no one else. It's just like people just post it. It's like, yeah, yeah.
That's a good one.
But yeah, so we'll talk about a little bit more of that once we wrap it up. But we've been doing that.
Indeed.
Um, did we talk about WandaVision?
No, not yet.
I finished that. Have you watched that?
No, I haven't checked that one out yet. I hear
How
need to.
much into the Marvel stuff are you? Like, do you keep up with it, or do you kind of just catch them here and there?
Yeah, I don't keep up with it. I watch the ones that like grab my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the heroes and stuff, but not every single show or anything.
Yeah.
So.
There's so many podcasts and news sites that discuss the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU, that we don't really got to get into it or anything, because you can find that way more sourced and well discussed anywhere else. A good one is the Witching Hour with Perry Nemiroff from Collider.
Ah.
But I will say this, that is what's interesting about the whole MCU is I do watch all of it because I'm a sucker for kind of filling in the gaps of some kind of chronological tale or
Yeah.
discography. Like if I really get into an artist, I want to know the whole story. Like what's the first record all the way to the last one.
Uh-huh.
And so with this one, it's like started early. And I don't know if I would say that I like loved any of them. I really enjoy some and kind of like most of them. But it's
Word.
funny because they are kind of like a comfort. It's like watching the TV show Friends.
Yeah.
It's just so easy to go through that it's just like, oh, okay, yeah. And yeah, it's like a warm blanket. So now that they're doing these TV shows, they can actually get a little more in depth with some of the side characters. And I think that's actually been a cool new development because WandaVision's about Scarlet Witch and Vision. So her first name's WandaVision.
Huh?
And their whole premise was each episode is based off of a different decade of sitcoms until it isn't. I don't want to give anything away about it, but
Ah,
basically they're trapped in some kind of dimension where they're like in I Love Lucy, and then the next episode is like in the 60s, like maybe all like I don't know what that would be.
Brady Bunch. That's
Yeah.
60s.
Brady Bunch, 70s, kind of more like All in the Family, that sort of stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
But then it kind of goes into like somewhere in the middle of 80s and 90s, like it does Full House, and then after that it does Malcolm in the Middle,
Nice.
and then Modern Family is like the last one. But it was a really
Ah,
interesting premise, and the acting's really good in it, also considering how kind of, cheesy it can be. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. And now they have Falcon and the Winter Soldier out. So they kind of take a little break and then they throw another Marvel show at you. So every
nice.
Friday, there's like some Marvel thing to watch. And the Falcon and Winter Soldier has been not as enjoyable for me, but it has been good and interesting. So I'll
Nice.
talk more about that once that wraps up.
Well, we'll have to catch up on it.
Indeed. Uh, that's all the entertainment stuff I can think of. Do you want to kind of talk about some of the video games we've been playing recently?
Yeah, well, that sounds good. Do
How
you want
about
to?
you lay a little bit of basic info on us?
Well, do you want to start with the one we were playing a while back, or do you just want to go with the one we've been playing?
That's a good question because we might do a more in-depth review of this later. How about we just do that? But we'll talk about the one we started, which
Nice.
is Starbound. Got any other information on Starbound off the top of your head? I'm trying to think of how to describe it.
Well, it's kind of like Terraria. It's
Mm-hmm.
also kind of similar to Minecraft, but it's a side scroller and it has some space elements. I believe it's procedurally generated off the like location. So like your coordinates generate the different planets. So there's all these different
Mm-hmm.
planet types, and each well, there's different solar system types. So you're like solar system orbiting some kind of star, and then there's a bunch of different planet types around the different kinds of stars. And so basically, you go through and you're looking for resources. You start out on an easy star, you get all the resources there, you move on to a little bit of a harder star. There's some
Mm-hmm.
bosses along the way. Yeah, that's about the name of it.
So I would, I suppose I would define myself as a casual gamer. I think we've mentioned that before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get as hardcore into it as some people, so a lot of the lingo and information about video games I kind of fuck up from time to time, so forgive me. But one thing I like to do with video games, at least for people that are like me, that just kind of do it casually, is when you're promoting or recommending a game, you think of what other games you've played that are like it. So, what 2 to 3 video games would you say Starbound is like?
Well, yeah, probably the two I did, Terraria and Minecraft are probably the closest ones.
Yeah.
It reminds me of another one I played as a kid called like Martian or Mars uh, Mission to Mars or something. As an old
Yeah.
school like pixel side scroller, like even bigger pixels than Starbound, and you're just like running around shooting little aliens. But
Hmm.
so kind of the space vibe of it is really what kind of gives it that cool flavor. I really enjoy that.
Yeah. I guess I would agree with that. It's yeah, Minecraft and Terraria. Like Terraria, it's a 2D side scroller kind of view.
Yeah.
And my third video game I would say it's similar to is Metroid. a Super
Oh,
Metroid to be specific.
oh yeah, the little ball too.
Yeah, you turn that little ball, you're kind of always like, rather than just walking from chamber to chamber, you're mining towards it sometimes or whatever, but that's kind of how you're moving around is like Metroid. And yeah, it's a really engrossing game and it's a lot of fun. Um, trying to think if there's anything specific. I mean, it is kind of straightforward, but it's that's not to say that it doesn't have a lot of depth as far as visuals and character creation and gameplay.
And there's so many weapons. Like I don't think we've even found them all. We just keep finding new kinds of weapons and do weird different things and all
What's
kinds of
that
nice stuff.
called in video games? They had that in what's that kind of cartoony shooter where the weapons would always evolve.
Oh, a gunfire? That one?
Gunfire is like that, but what's the one that was like on PS3 and
Oh,
it's
dang.
huge. I just can't think of it.
Yep, I can't either. But yeah, same thing. Yep, does that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what mechanic that is, but it's like I don't know if that's roguelite kind of gameplay or if that's a mechanic or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah,
I would recommend it. But we did totally stop playing it cold
yeah, we got
because
distracted.
we started playing another game, which is Valheim.
Yep, but I think
Uh,
a
why don't
lot
you
of
tell us a little bit more about that?
a lot of people are with us on that one. It seems to be that a lot of people have stopped playing whatever they were playing and switched to Valheim. I actually went to a little rehearsal today and I got there and my buddy was like, "Hold on, I got to run back to my base." It's like, "Yeah, I know, man. You're good. You can't teleport with that ore. It sucks."
Yeah.
So Valheim is a survival game based on Viking purgatory. So
Huh.
it's you spawn and you just you spawn by some pillars and you're just supposed to start punching trees and finding rocks and build yourself a little hut and away you go. It's just it's not much. There's not many new things to the game, like all the things you can find a game that's done all the different parts. But I don't know if a game has put it all together in such a nice package. Like it looks awesome. It's really fun. It's challenging. It's there's just always there's like grinding, but I would say there's not too much grinding. There is a lot of grinding. It is a pain in the ass, but it's never
That's part
like
of the. It's the
over the thing.
gameplay though. Part of the
Yeah,
game is just the grind,
yeah, exactly.
which
And
is why I find it interesting that you said purgatory because I was like, oh yeah, totally. Because
that's what,
purgatory isn't hell, but it ain't heaven.
yeah.
It's just this constant. Oh my god, I need more. What kind of wood? Fuck.
Oh, there's
Like,
a troll. Oh, great.
yeah. Oh, I'm getting attacked. I got a mind. Like, wait a minute. Maybe I'll just kill him with my pickaxe. Like,
Well,
it
I'm out of
is
food.
always something going on, and so before we get into it, once again, same question. What three video games is it like?
Well, so I'd say when you drop in, I get some like Skyrim kind of vibes, some Oblivion.
Yep.
So you're kind of
Hmm.
looks like that. Really pretty game again. Then
Some of
when you
the mechanics of the fighting is very Skyrim to me.
yeah, it kind of feels that in that way too. You like hit the thing and then the sword swings and you're just hoping it kind of hits them.
Yeah. Yeah. Just kind of have the camera looking at them while you just.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the bow is also kind of similar. Takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
Um, and then again, Minecraft, as far as you're gathering stuff, punching trees. It's just a lot nicer looking. Like like the resources are more just like in the world than Minecraft, which
Yeah.
not surprising. So those are the
Yeah.
two main
It's
ones.
slightly more cartoony Skyrim as far as visuals go, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
And What's a third game it's like? I know I had one, but I have to think about it now.
I guess it does bring to mind Fallout New Vegas with the repairing and stuff. Even though in the
Hmm.
Fallout New Vegas the repairing was kind of even more annoying, but
Sure. But yeah. I think yeah, I think maybe Terraria was the other one I was thinking.
yeah, I don't really know. The base building is kind of special. I don't know another game that does the building quite like that. Maybe that might
Yeah.
be Fallout. The Fallout 4. The base building is kind
Yeah.
of similar to that,
But yeah,
where
that
you're
that's
like,
kind of what reminds me of Minecraft the most. Not so much the mining, it's just that you explore the map, and when you get to this new place, you're like, oh, I kind of want to build a base here. You're like kind of always wanting to build stuff.
yeah, you want to spread and yeah, and it's kind of cool how
Yeah.
they keep it interesting, like with the ore and the teleporters, and like if you die, it's not just you know, it's kind of difficult in every way. They always are
Okay.
throwing stuff at you.
That's why I was thinking Terraria because yeah, they have the portals to just teleport from thing to thing,
Uh huh.
and then also there's the different biomes. So as you go into a new biome, it kind of levels up, and that's more or less your levels. And there's a boss for each one, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's I don't know if that's very similar to Minecraft too, like the vanilla version, because the one we played during COVID was a lot of mods.
Yeah, it was the
But
Eternal mod pack.
yeah, but yeah. So if you wanted to play Valheim and you're not as into always hopping in and building a little something something, you could probably go through the game pretty quickly, just going through the biomes and fighting all the bosses. And I would think that would still be a pretty satisfying play.
Yeah, I think you could have a lot of fun. I like how we've been doing it, taking a little slower. I kind of like the resource gathering, base building. So, but I
Well, and
saw,
our
I
beach base is so pretty.
exactly. It's just fun to make little buildings and have it all look nice, get it all connected. I saw a
Hmm.
guy that was like on day 60 something, and he was already like where we are at, but he had already found like a dungeon in the swamp. So he's like actually like a little bit ahead of us. I was like,
Oh,
damn. And he got lucky because he found the. I've been talking to some other people that play it, and apparently, it's like randomly generated each world, so you can get unlucky with the boss locations. So my buddy was saying one boss, the third boss, was just insanely hard to get to for him, and this other guy I was watching, he like did the rune that tells you where it is, and it's like just a little bit south. It's like right there. Take like
yeah,
10 minutes to walk to it, and so that's pretty interesting to see. So we'll have to see where we end up having to travel for our third boss. That'll be fun.
absolutely. Well, I mean, I feel like that pretty much sums up our video gaming recently.
Oh, and one last thing is the
And
sailing.
sure,
The
sailing.
sailing is cool. It's not like as like when you're getting
Oh,
out on the big seas and stuff. It was pretty cool.
okay, I'll say that then. Since Terraria and Minecraft are very similar, I'll say the other video game it's like is Assassin's Creed Black Flag when you're a pirate.
Yep.
You're kind of running around gathering stuff, doing quests. And yeah, otherwise you're just hopping into like a ship and floating around. And the mechanics of the boats is reminds me a lot of that.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the look of it. Seem to recall that being similar. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's a good game.
Hell yeah. So it kind of just popped into my head while we were having that discussion. We should go into our philosophy section.
Well, there you go. Quite preposterous. Well, haberdashery. Yes.
I dare say. Do tell.
Yes.
Quite. Think deeps.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a little something something, but what do you have from the list? I think we could maybe do two today.
All right. So the question from the list, which is a very interesting ride with the random number generator because the one that popped up is just one away from the one we did last
Hmm.
time. So, yeah, kind of
Okay.
weird.
Yeah.
So, here we go. What is a person? Is it the mind or the body?
It's the
Freaky.
mind.
Yeah, Freaky Friday says.
I mean, yeah, it's the mind.
I mean, it's a silly question because we have no way of actually separating them at the current time. But yeah, indeed, I do think it is. And
I think this leads into my little thing I'm gonna bring up as well, but I would say a thing about this list is that I think it's written for a certain sort of belief system.
yeah,
I feel like more and more it's like they're assuming a lot about what you think about the soul and the mind and life in general.
yeah, they think like we're gonna blow your mind, and it's like what?
And it's like, yeah, no, like if you kind of logically walk your way through it, if you put my mind inside of Idris Elba, then
Mm.
I'm gonna look way sexier, but women are still gonna get annoyed and leave me because it's the same mind. Eventually, I will drive them crazy. But if what's the flip side of that? I guess there isn't one.
I mean, it's the answer. There
Yeah,
isn't a flip side, so that's right. Because I mean, the body wouldn't be anything without the mind. The body is there to serve the mind. It's the meat sack making all the air juice to pump to the brain meat.
yeah, exactly. I so one of my big crushes in Hollywood is like Marissa Tomei, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
she's like she ages like a fine wine. She's beautiful. I think if only it wasn't the right thing to do to let a free bird fly free, you almost want to encapsulate her in glass just so she could be preserved for society's sake.
Almost.
But if you just put my mind inside Marissa Tomei, a bunch of people are like, gross.
What
Like, just,
is she talking about?
she is wildly inappropriate.
Uh,
But, so
delete the
yeah,
Marissa Tomei show from my podcast list.
yeah. So I think let's throw in Jacob Wayne. Uh, this is my list, all right? This is number one. No particular order. So, the Viking Purgatory was the thing that got me thinking about it. And it's like purgatory, that concept always kind of creeped me out. And I think part of the reason why is I think most versions of a purgatory, the person in it doesn't know they're in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I was going to ask, it's a little bit of a question, and then I'll tell you mine. Um, what version of the afterlife have you heard from somebody? It's like a belief, or like just you were reading history and like these people believe this is what happened. What version of the afterlife have you heard that like creeps you out the most?
Huh.
I can give you
That's
mine
a
if you need to think about it.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. You go ahead and give me yours.
So I don't even remember where I picked this one up, but it's kind of a form of reincarnation, but it's this concept that there is no death. It's a little bit like not specifically, but when you fall asleep, that is when you die. And you
Ah,
always wake up in a new existence. So
huh.
occasionally you wake up and have these memories but these memories are just whatever's in your brain. It's not. It's like almost like programmed in there. That's not necessarily what you did the day before. And if you die in that day, perhaps you're reborn as something else and have no memory of that other life. But the fact that there is no heaven, there is no hell, and there is no death, it's just a constant resetting. And sometimes it's almost like a little bit of the if life was a simulation, a bit. That
Yeah.
there are times when the whole thing, whatever it is, God, the system, the matrix, just resets and adjusts things and changes things about you. And that's why people change and move and do different things. It's not really free will, it's programming almost. That shit creeps me out.
Huh, yeah. That makes sense.
And the only reason why, it's the same reason becoming schizophrenic or any other thing creeps me out. It's this: your mind doesn't know that it's actually this, rather than what it thinks is actually going on, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, nope, it's just your weird little brain programming on these little loops. And
But if it
yeah,
could,
that gives me the creeps.
if it could comprehend that, then it would be smart enough to catch on to those weird loops.
Well, maybe that guy
Maybe.
on the corner is the guy that caught on, but he's the one screaming at the sidewalk.
He's the guy flipping the signs from Soul.
See, it's the same cat. That same cat comes by every Tuesday at 5. And he's saying it at like Sunday at 7 in the morning. You're like, oh my God, that poor bastard. Like, but maybe he sees the truth. It's all terrible. Terrible repetition. You got yours?
If you want. um, well, that's the thing I was thinking about. I was like, I haven't studied what a lot of other people's idea of purgatory is. The only ones that I can think of are like the good old Catholic hell, the Mormon outer darkness / hell, and then like, I guess like the you
Spirit
hear the whole
waiting room or whatever it was.
yeah, that kind of thing. I don't know. I've heard the 40 virgins thing. That's like the only other thing I've ever even heard of. Other than that, I really don't know many differing details. But I do think the Catholic one's pretty fucked. Really, it does sound pretty awful.
Yeah, like aborted babies go to purgatory, I think.
Yeah, just in a burning room of eternal hellfire and brimstone and smells like skunk. And yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Well, because God is omnipotent, all-seeing, all-loving. Of course, He would let something like that happen.
That's where I'll give the Mormons
to learn us something.
I'll give the Mormons that one. Their hell does make like more sense. That's except for everything else not making any sense.
Let me ask you this. This is always interesting because we grew up in Utah. My family's Mormon. I think some members of yours are. Like, I don't really know for sure. But every Mormon family has kind of a slight alteration to the belief system. So,
indeed.
Let me ask you this. In Mormon heaven, are you able to go up a level after you die, or when you die, you go to the level and you stay there?
I've heard you can upgrade.
See, and I don't want to misquote my family. I feel like growing up, I thought it was like, no, your whole life is your chance to repent or sin or blah, 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 or sin and not repent. And where you go is where you go. But don't freak out too much, because even if you are a heathen, fornicator, blah, 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 you go to the bottom level, and you'd kill yourself to get there. And that's pretty much where you would go.
Pretty sweet, bro.
If you killed yourself. So it's pretty sweet. And then, of course, the Sunday school argument is like, well, why don't I just kill myself right now? Whoa, you don't want to do that. It's like, why not? They said it was like way better than right now.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And then, whoa, you want to be...
So the celestial.
Celestial, the great level.
Whoa,
But
Bracken, you don't want to do that.
so, are we done with this subject? Like, I think that's way deeper than whatever that fucking bullshit list is giving
Oh
us.
yeah,
We're still gonna do this list,
Oh yeah,
but
there's some
I'm
good
gonna
ones we
try
gotta
to.
get to.
I'm gonna try to counteract it, unless it's like a really good one from the list. That'll
There
be
you
kind
go.
of hard, but
Well, there'll be some good ones on here.
let
There's
me
some really stupid one though.
before we move on though. While we're on the theme, what scares you more, dying and it's just over, or heaven, you live forever?
See, I don't know. Both of those are.
I think everybody kind of like the little hammer on the knee, kind of heaven. Of course, would just die. That would be fucking awful. But
Oh, what scares you more is what you said.
Yeah,
So I would almost say heaven. Yeah.
yeah. You start thinking about it, and you're like, oh my god, like it's just never over. And then, because when it's over, if there's nothing else after that, what do you care? You're not there anymore.
Exactly.
Which, don't get me wrong, that creeps me out. But yeah, the other version creeps me out perhaps more. I don't know.
And either way, we can't do anything about it. So just be cool. That's my life advice.
So that's what's kind of interesting. Perhaps that's why it's a big question mark for us all. Because if there is something after this, knowing that is like almost way too much pressure. Or people would just dive out of this life quick to get there. Yeah. Or it's like they're trying to hide hell from you, so they don't want you freaking out. They want you living your life. Or there's nothing, and so almost biologically we've evolved to like, we know, but our brain constantly is like, yeah, but maybe something else. Just to keep us motivated to fucking eat.
True.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We kicked that fucking philosophy list ass right there.
Right there, that's deep shit right there.
Yeah, I hope everybody's okay. But with that, let's move on to Dear Jacob Wayne.
Dear Jacob Wayne.
Hello.
All right. So this one is kind of funny, coming from what we just talked about.
Yeah.
So I'm paraphrasing this one. I couldn't find the exact one. It was a very short one, and I remember the basic gist. So it basically went something like this: Dear Jacob Wayne, my family is very religious, but I'm finding myself not so much. How do I tell them that I am not religious anymore? And yeah, how do I avoid all the conflict that's going to come with that?
Is that it?
Yeah.
You don't avoid the conflict at all.
Nope, head on.
And you barrel right through it. You say exactly what you think and what you believe and the truth. And you say it 100%, and you make sure you say it clearly as best you can. And you don't back down from it. That being said, a caveat to that is if you have an abusive family, which some of these hyper-religious families tend to be, then I understand if you're 16 and you're questioning the whole thing. If it keeps you safe to kind of play the game until you're 18 and can get out of the house, I would understand that. But that being said, once you hit 18, you need to get the hell out of that house. So, that being said, any reasonable family, there's tons of reasonable religious people. Your beliefs are your beliefs, and I think that's all I'm trying to say is you have to live your truth and stand by what you believe in and don't bow down to some kind of cultural programming.
Indeed.
Basically, if you believe in God, go ahead and believe in God, even if your family's a bunch of atheists. If your family's a bunch of Mormons, leave. I left in my heart when I was 13. They're maybe like, no, you were a Mormon until you were 18 and you left like whatever it is.
Yep.
I argued for 3 years, like from 15, even though I felt like I was done at 13. But 15 is kind of when I like put my foot down, like I don't want to go anymore, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And 15 to 18 was rough, but I think my entire family accepts it now because I dug my heels in. I was like, nope, not going back. I'm done. Don't believe in it. And can I come to Thanksgiving? And yeah. And I get along with my family now. Of course, there's a distance there that's always going to be there because of our differing morality. But, you know, it's a thing to constantly work on. That's kind of part of being alive, is learning how to communicate and get along with people that don't think exactly like you do. So all I would say is own your truth. Don't let anybody make you back down. You can love somebody and still have a distance with them. You got to set up your boundaries. But that being said, you can forgive everybody considering that.
Yeah.
So leave. And guess what? If you start believing it again, you can go back. They'll probably be real thrilled.
Oh, yeah. They'd love it.
And just don't die in between, because you might go to hell.
Yeah. I accept Jesus
Watch out. Boogie boogie.
You just got to get it like last minute. I accept Jesus Christ as my personal savior. Got it.
I accept Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior.
Made it. Yes.
Actually, it's Lao Tzu. Fuck.
Gotcha.
So let's top off the episode with some weird news.
Weird news. Like that. Like that. Like that. Like that. Like that. Okay, this one's a little down home.
Oof.
One. I just had fun with this one. I thought it was
okay.
funny. So, Cache County jail inmate arrested after brief escape. So, just to have put the yakety sax playing in your background of your mind as I read this.
Yeah.
So, 37-year-old inmate is back in Cache County jail after trying to escape. Cecil Vigil, who is currently facing federal charges for allegedly shooting at an FBI agent and a sheriff's deputy.
Wait. You sure this isn't a Florida man story?
I know, right?
Guess we got to start coming up with the Utah man.
Yeah, they're getting crazy.
What's the difference? What are the similarities?
It's a dry heat here. That's about the difference.
Yeah, we're a little crankier. The dry heat will make you all cranky.
I thought the wet heat would make you cranky.
It makes you rageful.
Oh.
See, like in the Midwest, they're a little more like. See, I was like, not Seattle. Florida's like, fuck you. Like just anger.
Yep. Oh well, so he.
Sorry to my Florida friends, but of all the places I've lived,
it's a little crazy down there.
A little more, just a little extra.
Yep. So anyway, this dude reportedly climbed over 2 fences and ran into the neighboring fields before being arrested Sunday afternoon. So I could just imagine this. The jail is on the outskirts of town here, and there's fields, but there's also a bunch of houses and stuff. Like there's no fields forever. There's just fields and then more businesses. So you know, uh, they were on it. So the sheriff said deputies were providing recreation time to a group of inmates in a fenced outside recreation. At around 11:15 a.m., Vigil scaled the fence and the perimeter fence and ran away. Which I thought those fences were like, did he like dodge the barbed wire? Like,
He just
must have been brutal.
squoze in between two sections of it.
Oh, maybe.
And then he ran into the corn,
Yeah, out
stripping
into
off
the.
his janitor outfit he stole with the trucker hat. And the naked trucker
Hey,
just ran into the cornfields, getting slapped on his behind, urging
did you
him
already read the
forward.
article?
Maybe.
uh, so the jail deputies tried to apprehend him, but he was able to escape and run into the fields. So then they called it in. So law enforcement's from the sheriff's office and Logan City Police Department responded to the area, set up a large perimeter, and they were like could see him the whole time. So first he tried to evade capture by removing his clothes, and he armed himself with a board.
Wow. All right.
So, however, due to the rural area he was in, they were just like sitting there, like, "We can see you, Vigil. Like, you put that board down."
Vigil.
So they just kept yelled at him. They were just yelling at him the whole time. They could talk to him. He was out there for an hour, and they could just talk to him. They just stayed away from him and just never lost sight of him. And then so he finally gave up peacefully an hour later, examined
An
by
hour? What
yeah,
a pussy.
I know. So, examined by medical staff, returned to jail. It's being investigated, and additional charges will be reviewed. So,
Yeah, I almost had that all the way down. Instead of him arming himself, I just pictured him with the trucker hat
but he totally stripped
and
down.
getting away. That's the thing, though. If I was him, like, giving up after an hour, like, fuck that. Like, I'm gonna, right then and there, like, I'm on a hunger strike and I'm sitting right here, try to get the news on me, and then it becomes a national story. Like, man becomes new Gandhi, goes on hunger strike.
Yeah.
And just try to, like, become popular enough that some guy will pay my bail. Or the president will pardon me.
Well, yeah, he was arrested.
Virgil.
He was arrested like a year ago, and so he probably wasn't going to be in there for like that much longer. But now he's going to be in there a long time.
What's his first name? Virgil?
Cecil Vigil.
Cecil Vigil.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's a junior.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as good. I was gonna say Virgil's actually a pretty great name.
Yeah.
But no, Cecil Vigil.
Yeah. I've never.
Come on,
it's
man,
so
just
weird.
land on a good name, dude. Sounds like you're like.
And then his dad was like, "It's a great name. We're calling him that too."
We're gonna call him Circle Venn Diagram. Well,
Virgil.
Yeah, but I like that image of him though, just running through the corn. His ass is truly free. It's out of its pants and just getting slapped by morning dew corn.
Yep.
And it's like some bluegrass is playing. It's like a Coen Brothers movie.
And all the cops are just sitting there watching. So, hey, we can see you.
One of the cops just looks like the dismal tide.
We're going to have to smoke you out.
Coming for you, Mr. Pocket.
Indeed. They should. They can come shoot a movie here.
Yeah, it's not just southern Utah that's good for filming. You can do the north.
Oh, I know. Somebody was like, "Man, I swear, northern Utah is like the prettiest place. I don't know why people think southern Utah is the prettiest." I'm like, I think southern Utah is like might be a little prettier, but northern Utah's sweet, yeah.
Well, it depends on what you like.
Yeah, there's some places in southern Utah that are quite mind blowing.
Well, and I mean the mood changes. Sometimes, like, being in the desert, it's like perfect.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, like you feel so how tiny you are. I think I
Yeah.
remember reading something once where they were talking about that's why all the wise men and prophets and adventurers and thinkers would wander into the desert because that was the only place you could go and be alone with God.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, that
people would
is
fast and go into the desert and just get all loopy.
when I walking down in southern Utah, like especially there's one particular hike where you're walking down into this big like canyon, call it Death
Mm-hmm.
Hollow, and you just feel like a little ant walking down the side of this thing. Like yeah, it makes the earth feel so huge, and you're just so small, just walking around on it. Like we make everything in cities and towns all human sized,
Yeah.
and down there you're just like, nope, you tiny.
Have you ever been to Notch Peak?
Uh, yes, I've like been around it. I've seen it.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that supposed to be the largest cliff face in North America?
Yeah, like in one measurement, it's like yeah the
Oh, okay.
tallest cliff. It's some yeah, I can't remember the exact. There's a few different ways you can measure that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
like the Wellsville Mountains right here in Cache Valley are the steepest range if you from bottom to top. You know, like the size or something or some
Yeah.
the grade. So if you measure it this way, if you measure it another way, it's some other mountain range. So it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
We should actually get into Lake Bonneville on an episode. That'd be
Yeah,
pretty interesting.
it's very interesting. That'd be fun.
Um, but yeah, I just before we wrap up, I was just gonna say when I was must have been like 18, 19 ish. We went to go camp around Notch Peak. We never actually went over to it, but you could like see it in the distance, and we were just camping around there.
Yeah,
And that's kind of when I fell in love with camping in the desert because it was just like this is just surreal. And I remember just having like this influx of creativity, like smoked a little bit of weed and would just sit with my notebook and sketch out all these characters. Like a lot of characters that are in my 2005 paintings came from that notebook.
oh nice.
And yeah, it was. I definitely think the desert was part of what helped fuel it because there was like no distractions. You're just like alone with your brain.
Yep, it's yeah, that's really nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think with that, we're gonna end this very woo-woo episode of the Jacob Wayne Show.
Yeah, we did all kinds of random various topics.
Indeed.
It's a good time.
Yeah, probably be a good time next time. This is episode 28, right?
Indeed.
All right, we got 29 coming up, and then we should have a special number 30 for you.
Oh yeah, getting exciting.
Indeed. Well, I'll talk to you next week, buddy.
We'll see you then.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to The Jacob Wayne Show. If you would like to contact us, please write us at fakoshka@gmail.com. That is FAKOSHKA@gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Simply search The Jacob Wayne Show and it should pop right up. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. Please write us. It helps add content to the show and makes the show even better for you, the listener. Thanks for tuning in.